Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought it would be good to make something with some noodles from my pantry. We are huge noodle lovers in this family, so we have lots of bits and pieces of packages that need to be used. I have these Thai wheat noodles that would be amazing in a cold noodle salad, but I think I'm going to save these because there's a specific noodle salad that I want to make with this, and I don't have the toppings for that, such as sliced cucumbers. I have these brown rice noodles, but I don't think I'm really in the mood for a rice noodle. However, if you're eating gluten-free, these should be your new best friend. These come in individual serving sizes. They cook super fast, and then you can just throw them into whatever dish it is that you're making, whether it be a pad thai, a cold noodle salad, whatever it is. And then I have these noodles that I got at Trader Joe's that came with a seasoning packet in them, and I really didn't care for this flavor, so it would be fun to maybe use the noodles for something else. And then I've got some spaghetti, which works great in a cold Asian salad. However, I normally use Barilla spaghetti because with a pasta salad, the noodle does need to be able to hold up. And I found that Barilla spaghetti works great and has the texture I want. I also have some linguine. I've got a small amount of spaghetti from Trader Joe's, which might work, but that's not going to be enough for much of anything. And I think I'd like to use these noodles. I really like the idea of repurposing something that I didn't like at all. And it looks like I have 3 packets of noodles in here that I can use. I'm going to use these to make a cold noodle salad. That just sounds really good and refreshing to me with the heat. And while the water is heating up, I'll pull out some of the ingredients that'll work great in this salad. A couple of weeks ago, I went to Sam's Club and I loaded up on my regular veggies. And unfortunately, the same day, my son came home with this huge amount of broccoli that he had found on sale. So anyway, I've got this big bag of broccoli that needs to get used up. And then he also brought home this. And I think this is the biggest watermelon I've ever had before. I could tell he had some fun picking this one out and bringing it home to me. And I've really enjoyed eating this. It's been so refreshing to have during the heat. It's definitely been my go-to snack for the last week or so. Anyway, these are the vegetables I have for my pasta salad. I got this 5-pound bag of organic carrots for like $3 at Sam's Club, which was a great deal. And I've been eating a lot of those. And I'll just cook these according to package instructions, which says to boil these for 4 minutes. And it is odd that I didn't like this because I love soy sauce and I love sesame oil, but it was just very underwhelming. But I am going to keep those packets because I'm sure that I can doctor them up and make it something that I do like. And then I'm just going to make sure that the noodles don't stick together. And these are some of the longest noodles that I think I've ever seen. So when I was taking one out to see if it was tender, I was kind of having a difficult time getting the noodle out. But anyway, yeah, these took just exactly 4 minutes and then they were perfect. So then I just drained those and set those aside and then prepared the vegetables that I wanted to add to my salad. And then I just added them to a bag that I have. I thought it would be fun to just mix all of the ingredients in here. And this way it's going to be easier to mix in the dressing and making sure that it gets evenly distributed. And I was only able to cook 2 of the bricks of noodles in the pan, but I ended up going back and cooking the 3rd brick. I guess I should have used a bigger pan to start with. But anyway, I'm going to put these in the fridge, and then tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll finish this off. I don't always add white sesame seeds to this, but if you guys remember when I was at Wholesome Choice and I got a big bag of these for just a couple bucks, so I'm using these generously here. I do love sesame seeds. You probably see me using them quite a bit. I use the black seeds on my avocado toast, and I use the white seeds usually in maybe dressings like this or other dishes that I make. But again, it's purely optional. Go ahead and leave it out if you don't have it. And then I'm going to dice my carrots on the diagonal and then add those to this. And in the past, I've liked to add mushrooms to this where I kind of dice those up into strips. But you can really add any kind of vegetable that you want here. These are just the ones that I happen to have on hand that I think would be good in this. And you probably recognize these vegetables because they're always a mainstay in my fridge because I use them for lots of different things. I make green salads with them. I use them in my stir fries. Just use these same vegetables over and over. But really any vegetable that you're going to add into here is going to taste delicious because that sauce is to die for. It's literally our family's favorite pasta salad. And again, I usually use spaghetti for this. Barilla is my favorite, but I do like the idea of using up these noodles and making them into something that I love instead of what I thought was, I don't know, it just had a weird flavor. Probably because they didn't use, it said sesame sauce on the packet, not sesame oil. So maybe they didn't really use a good sesame oil. I don't know. It just was kind of bland tasting to me. And the vegetables always do kind of separate. So I have to pick out the vegetables so that you get a nice mix. And then I'm going to garnish this with some black sesame seeds. Again, that's purely optional. And I grabbed these chopsticks, but look, one of them is broken. I don't know how that happened. I actually love the texture of these noodles. They're kind of chewy in a way that the spaghetti isn't. So I really enjoyed this meal, and my family did also. If you didn't like the noodles to be so long, you could always take the brick and just break it into half. But I made a couple of these for my sons and put these in the fridge for them, and they thought these were really good also. And here's the next day at my lunch for work, and I did like the way the noodles held up. Sometimes you'll make a noodle and it just doesn't hold up well after being refrigerated, but this one worked perfectly. I keep emergency meals on hand for times when I'm too busy to make my lunch, and those usually consist of frozen meals of some kind, and then I just add a protein and a vegetable to make it a little healthier. Well, this time I forgot to grab something from the freezer, but I had this sweet chili flavored noodles in my desk, and I just mixed in the heated tofu and broccoli, and this was so good. I can't believe how much I enjoyed this. I also think I added in a little bit of sambal oelek to this, and of course it's not the healthiest, but again, it's for emergencies, and I think it would be a great meal for people that are traveling, or if you're living in your car. I know I have a lot of viewers that are doing that. Basically, you could just heat up the broccoli and the tofu in a pan and then just throw it in with the noodles. I've had some requests for how I use my tofu. I have done a video on this before. However, I don't remember where that video is at, but I will say that I don't do much of anything to my tofu. I basically just cut it up and then use it. And I just try to squeeze out as much of the water from the tofu as possible. If you freeze the tofu, it's going to look like this. It's going to have all of those tiny little pores in it, and then it's going to be able to soak up the sauces that you make. I typically don't do this because I don't want it to soak up more sauce, just because the sauce that I'm using does have some sodium in it, so I'm fine with it just coating the tofu. That's plenty of flavor for me. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys, I did decide to use these rice noodles later in the week. I was planning on putting a pot of rice on, but then I thought, you know what, these only take 5 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and make these and add these to my vegetables. I haven't had these for a while. All you do with these is boil the water and then turn it off and let it sit for 5 minutes. And then your noodles are ready. And then I tested these just to make sure. And I drained them. And now I'm just going to do a quick stir fry on these vegetables that I have. I sliced my celery real thin on the diagonal along with the carrots, and I got out my wok for this. And I'm going to add a little sesame oil. I don't usually use sesame oil for frying, but like I said in my last video, I'm actually out of oil because I just kind of stopped buying some of the olive oil. So I do need to use a little bit of this. I do love sesame oil, so it is a pantry staple for me, but I tend to use it, like I said, as a seasoning rather than an oil to fry things in. And I've talked to people from different cultures, and they've all told me that they tend to do the same. And again, I'm just flash frying these as quickly as possible, and then I'll add in the noodles and mix everything up, and I'm planning to have this for my lunch today at work. For the sauce, I just made a sauce basically just like I made the last sauce. However, this time I didn't put any vinegar in it. And I don't know why, but I just grabbed this spatula, but it is not the right tool for the job. And this made a delicious lunch, and this just happens to be gluten-free. I had a couple of other noodle dishes I wanted to share with you, but I am out of time this week. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.
Morning has broken, my windows are open. Wanna feel the wind blow through my hair. Which way do I follow? What happens tomorrow? I turn to you and hope you can guide the way. Sometimes I get